Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Court Ratnowski, Yankee T News, sponsored by our friends, the Greenwich Stanford Tea Party Patriots. This has been a strange week. I think this is number 53. A lot of stories were crowding up there to the top spot. So the first 3 or 4 stories that I'm going to go through were all screaming for attention. So let's pay special attention to them. The first one, let's just say this fight over election fraud and what happened in 2020 is not over, not even close. There's a woman named KARI Lake who's running for governor in Arizona. She just filed an injunction with the, I believe, the federal court to get rid of the election machines, okay? So here you've had, here you've had Dominion fighting in all different kinds of ways so people cannot look into these machines, and now the move is to just get rid of them. Go to paper ballots. France uses paper ballots. They get their results quicker than we do. Canada uses paper ballots. They get their results quicker than we do. This stuff with these election machines is a fraud and a scam, and it must be done away with. So she's the first step in that direction. Now, I'll just mention parenthetically, I believe Linda Sinkowitz, our own, from Fight Voter Fraud, is out there now. She'll be coming back. She'll have more news about it, plus how we can do in Arizona what can be done in Connecticut. So it's called, and so look forward to that. All right, the next story, crowding for the top. This, okay, let me get to straight to the point. Among the reams of data that Pfizer has held back from the public on these vaccines comes this information showing that Pfizer knew, they knew based on their own internal data that there was a 3.7% death rate from their mRNA vaccines. I'm sorry, 3.7% for a vaccine is unacceptably high. What this means, per the question I ask over here, 4 million killed by Pfizer, question mark, is that if the mRNA vaccine was given to 100 million people, and we know it's more than that, then based on their own data, this mRNA vaccine should have killed about 4 million people. Okay? So the question is, what's the real story? It's going to take more research, more digging, more pressure, but there's cause for concern, so there's this part. Now, on the dailyclout.io website, where they have a lot of volunteers and lawyers working on the 55,000 pages in question, there's this one. I'll just quickly read the title. FDA and Pfizer data allegedly missing important blood-brain barrier data. Okay, quick biology lesson. Part of your circulatory system provides blood to the brain. Those blood vessels that go to the brain are special because they're thicker and the cells are more closely packed together, limiting what can cross out of the circulatory system. That is referred to as the blood-brain barrier. Now, it turns out that the spike protein can preferentially attack the cells of the blood-brain barrier, and in so doing, cause inflammation, cause that barrier to open up and allow the passage of more things into the brain, which could go and cause harm. I looked at least 3 papers that showed there is some reason for concern here. So in the meantime, as far as anything Pfizer has to say about it, and the FDA, they're silent, okay? But this is critically important information. So the link for that will be up there. Check it out. Okay, now, next, every single Model X Tesla on the road has been recalled. Not a few, all of them. It's pretty embarrassing. And it's funny that this should happen at just about the time that Elon Musk is closing on Twitter, which is looking more and more like it will happen. But the link will be up there for this, and it says it's 7,289 models that are still on road, which are being recalled because the front window can interfere with side curtain airbag deployment. Not good. Because the airbag deployment can be affected by the window in the front.
Okay.
So moving on. Now, so over here, Australia squares off against China. Those who followed it know that China is pursuing a policy where they're setting up special pacts with Pacific islands. Of note are the Solomon Islands, which are not that far from Australia. So there's been a stir about this, and it's looking like Australia is going to draw a line in the sand, so to speak, about this. Because the threat is that China will set up a seaport, a naval base, in the Solomon Islands. This would be a threat to Australia, and it's unacceptable. So this has the potential to be a blow-up point. Next, how are we going to lose the election in 2022? Oh, let me tell you. If we keep letting the Democrats get away with what they're getting away with, it will happen. And top of the line there is letting them continue to assault free speech. So ladies and gentlemen, those of you who give any kind of a damn about this, this is about fighting, that's right, fighting, not talking, fighting for free speech and pressing against the Democrats so that they cannot get away with the various games that they're playing. So the whole thing is here, and just check out the link for that. Meantime, now this has been, okay, I did an article on this. So this is about the food processing plants that have blown up, have been attacked, burned down, airplanes crashed into them over the last, 4 or 5 months. Now, the nature of the news pieces that have been done have been very limited. They describe the events, and that's fine, they're doing the reporting, but no one has said anything about arson. No one has said anything about any conspiracies. So that's right, good old Yankee T News took the lead by writing an entirely speculative piece suggesting that at this point in time there are more terrorist cells in America than you can even begin to imagine. And the idea that these terrorist cells have taken upon themselves now to attack our food infrastructure, I don't know, that seems like a reasonable conjecture to consider. Now, the other part that we forget is that last year about this time, you had the cyber attacks on some food companies. So it's odd. First the cyber attacks, those seem to kind of go away. Now you have these physical attacks on the food plants, right? Meantime, you have the, I guess it's Department of Homeland Security or FBI putting up these notices saying, yeah, look out, we've got a problem here. And now they're reciting the threat of cyber attacks, even though cyber attacks already happened a year ago. So I don't know what their problem is, okay? But this is an unfolding story, and the more you look, the more things there are that connect, okay? So we'll keep following it, and you've got to do your research on it, etc. Meantime, the next story is revitalizing freedom of expression at Davidson College. So we know that universities and colleges around the country have been victimized by these frankly, communists and Marxists who are trying to shut down free speech at every turn. Some alumni are beginning to fight back. One example is at a place called Davidson College. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but they have gotten together and formed their own alumni group for the express purpose of pushing back against these efforts to shut down free speech. Now, it should be pointed out also that for the last several years, there's been the development of what we'll call academic centers. And in the same vein, these academic centers are like safe spaces where students can get together and discuss things without people screaming at them. So there is some hope eventually, some way that free intellectual inquiry will come back to the colleges and universities, but it's still a long way to go. Meantime, you may recognize this. This has to be the largest marijuana joint in the state of Connecticut. Well, this marijuana joint is a gift. It is a gift to the government of Easton, Connecticut, because the government of Easton, Connecticut has decided they're going to get into the pot business. Now, I understand Connecticut Red can really knock your head for a loop. So, to you, the guys who run the town of Easton, Connecticut and want to grow pot, here you go, suckers. Moving on. Okay, the next hot issue. There was this article talking about how Hartford Healthcare is becoming the dominant hospital chain in the state of Connecticut. I think they have 7 hospitals along with their flagship in Hartford. And they're making a big deal out of upgrading technology, making everything more patient-friendly. To all of us who remember the horrors and the hell of the plandemic, okay? And how these hospitals function in the most horrible ways. This should be a warning, okay? So the way I put it, high tech, high tyranny. So unless these hospitals come forth and admit their guilt and how they unnecessarily killed and harmed patients in the name of dealing with COVID, they certainly don't have my trust. They certainly have no credibility with me, and nor should they with you. So it's an issue. Meantime, the affordable housing issue is a running battle here in Connecticut. There's going to be another vote on it in the State House of Representatives at some point. But this article tries to take a balanced approach to looking at the conflicts that are going on here. It's a 7-story building surrounded by 3-story structures that real estate developers are trying to put together in Greenwich, Connecticut. You know, in real estate, they talk about conforming use, the notion that one building built next to another should kind of mix and blend in with the rest. This ain't that at all. It's the opposite. So there's every good reason for why people would be upset. So again, the story is there, and you should get involved as best you can. Meantime, he was, where did that go, damn it? Scott Gottlieb, if anybody remembers, Scott Gottlieb was, here he is, okay, Scott Gottlieb, former head of the FDA, okay? So when you show the data, their own data, and they have not interpreted it properly, the only correct conclusion when you do interpret it properly, unfortunately, is this, okay? We can have that debate, whoever the YouTube censor asshole is, okay? But the point is that there was information for Mr. Gottlieb to reference, all right, per what's been found out with respect to Pfizer. He did not touch one bit of it. Didn't go anywhere near it. So who do you think you're fooling? And you shouldn't be fooled either. So enough of that. Now, moving on to calls to action. First, I want to mention, excuse me, okay, note here, Saturday, May 21st at, exact location will be sent, but it's going to be in Wallingford, Berlin. To all people who follow our good anti-communist researchers, there's Trevor Loudon, the best of the best. Okay, he lives in New Zealand, but he's coming to America again on another book tour, and he's going to be there. So I highly recommend that everybody get a ticket and go to this event. You will not be disappointed. Okay, and the link for that will be up. Now, meantime, there's this, which has to go up there too. So this is Greenwich Patriots piece yesterday for the event yesterday. Plus, I mean, I should point out, as a measure of how much activity there is going on here, even as we're meeting right now, there are 3 other competing activities which we are unable to attend or deal with. So there's the fundraiser for Connecticut Attorney General Jessica Cordes tonight in Norwalk. Then there's the COSCOB town meeting on local zoning issues. And then there's, well, congressional candidate Michael Goldstein running for office. So we couldn't do any of these. And yeah, so there you go. And the last thing is call to action. Go to our Signal channel, go to our Telegram channel. And we're going to, our website is going to be rolling out soon. Buy our stuff on our store. We hope to have a nice selection of merchandise. going to have our donate button, and anything you can do. Yes, well, new. Well, okay, we can call it new. We're moving on to Wix. So, and improved content. There are a lot of things we're talking about making better. So, it all begins here. I'm sure Fox News started this way. They must have. It's the only explanation. So, in any event, that's basically it. Oh, wait, one correction also. Connecticut Commie of the Week. This is a sore point. We've been having this argument. For communists to pretend that they're pastors is probably the single greatest insult to anybody's sensibility. So I'm calling out Reverend Rodney T. Wade, okay, of the pastor of the Long Hill Bible Church in Waterbury, Connecticut. You're not fooling us, Buster. Okay, you can talk Jesus all you want, but when you're hanging out with communists and you don't understand what it means to be a communist, we're just not buying it, okay? And also I'd mentioned Art Perlow last week, but I neglected to mention that Art Perlow passed away back in December from bladder cancer. So just had to throw that in there. All right, until next week. Thanks, folks. Bye. Thanks. All right.